Hello everyone, Leafread here. Today we have Of Mice and Men. As you can see, an extremely short novel. In fact, you might be able to call this a short story. This is by John Steinbeck, classic American literature. It is probably one of my favorite books. It is so short and it is so passionate and to the point that it just feels like real literature. I don't know. It's really good, and I think anyone can pick this up and understand it. So I'm already going to say this is a recommendation for almost anyone. But what is Of Mice and Men about? And so it's about the two main characters, George and Lenny. And George is a short, kind of well-spoken, philosophical, but maybe shy kind of guy, while Lenny is this big, bulking man, but who's very simple-minded. And the classic image or icon from this book is that Lenny is petting the rabbits, and he doesn't know his own strength, and he ends up accidentally killing some of the rabbits while he's trying to pet them. And he has this whole thing where George, he's saying, oh, Lenny, will find a patch of land to own and to grow and to, make all the crops grow. And Lenny is very simple, so he keeps asking George to keep telling him this story because Lenny doesn't have the capacity to imagine it unless George speaks it. So it's a contrast between two very different characters and how they are friends and how they depend on each other and how they face obstacles and issues and overcome it. And I think the background is that I think they're somewhere in the South. I think it's something they were working on, coal mines or railroads or something, and they end up going through this creek and they end up looking for work. And so they find work on this farm and they share a bunk bed together and they try to raise enough money so they can buy their own piece of land. And of course, Lenny loves the rabbits. And I don't want to give away exactly what happens, but let's just say there's an issue with a woman, as is always the case. There's an individual called Curly, who I think is the main farm owner or the farm hand or something. And I think it's just funny to note, it's very funny that Curly's wife is her name in this book. It never actually names her. It's just Curly's wife did this, Curly's wife did that. And she's actually kind of fun. She's quite a character, but she doesn't actually have a name, which is so crazy. But yeah, and you can see here there's a picture of the farm and the sun in the back. And so it's funny, the story about how I got into this is I was sitting in the chapters or the Indigo or whatever, and I just picked this up and I thought, okay, I'll give this a shot. It's so small, right? I ended up like being transfixed. I ended up reading the whole book in one sitting right there in the coffee shop. Might have been 3 or so hours, and I loved it so much I had to buy it. It's a very emotional story, and it's very simple, and it's about human nature in a very simple way. And it's about Lenny, really. Lenny's nature and how people react to him. And there is a issue and a drama that occurs, and it ends in a very famous or very much replicated scene that if you know, you know. But I don't even want to say, because it's such a short book. You can read it and find out and be like, ah, yeah, that's what he's talking about. And you can see here the the font size and everything and how much it space. And yeah, it's like 98 pages on the dot. So it's just read this. Like it's basically a short story. It's super, super easy to read. It's very simple. Like they're talking here and it's all in, quotations, and that's all do. Very simple and very powerful. I don't have really much else to say about it because it is such a short book, but it's one of the best short stories I've ever read. To give that much impact and insight and just punch And it reminds me of the kind of, I don't know, like an American pioneer spirit, where it's just vibrant and painful and beautiful and simple. Yeah, I think that's all I can really say about this one. Read it now. It's easy, it's thin, and it'll stay with you. It'll stay in your head for a while. Anyway, that's it. As always, guys, keep reading.